choosing the right base vehicle for our next camper van.
It's a big decision.
Do we think of the future and go electric?
Or do we stick with diesel?
Do we keep it simple and go for a van under 3.5 tonnes?
Or do we unlock extra payload and go over the 3.5 tonnes?
Do we go brand new for peace of mind?
Or grab a used bargain that potentially has some upgrades already fitted?
And then, of course, there's the Shortlist.
VW Crafter or a MAN TGE?
Or could it be the iconic Mercedes Sprinter?
Or a Ford Transit?
Or even a Peugeot Boxer, a Citroën Relay, or a Fiat Ducato?
Each has its strengths and each has its quirks.
In this video, we'll take you through the process we've been through, the pros, the cons, and the considerations,
so that you can see which one is going to give us our true camper van dream.
And whether those factors are important to you too.
I'm going to leave you with David so that he can take you through it.
Let's crack on.
LeisureBit is the way to go with David, Rachel and Roxy. Let's hit the road and explore.
Let's run through the choices and I can reveal what we chose and why. Stick around because the choice might surprise you. Firstly, diesel versus electric. I was quite keen on electric. It's quiet, it's clean, and it's more future-proof. But the reality, charging infrastructure for large vans is almost non-existent on campsites. You often see signs up telling you you can't charge your vehicle. It doesn't feel like, certainly in the UK at the moment, that we're ready for electric camper vans. We don't have the infrastructure on the sites. Long trips could become stressful when you're hunting for chargers, which then take time to charge, so you're hanging around waiting for that. I would expect over the next 5 years that position to improve. It'd be brilliant if everything just plugged in and then you could run your habitation and your vehicle and charge it up on campsites. Perfect, isn't it? But it's not there yet. So that's the reason we've chosen to stick with diesel, certainly for this time, but I'd love electric in the future. The next consideration is weight. Do we go under 3.5 tonnes, meaning you can drive it on a standard car licence, typically pay less on tolls and ferries, but the downside? Limited payload, especially on larger vans. You start adding a few extras and before you know it, you're overweight. Over 3.5 tonnes gives you more payload, but you'll need a C1 licence and the costs are higher. For me, peace of mind on payload is always key, as I never want to be overloaded. Here's the current situation in Europe and the UK regarding increasing the driving licence weight limit, as this issue may go away in terms of needing the C1 to drive 4.25 tonnes. Currently, motorhomes over 3.5 tonnes still require a C1 licence unless the UK adopts their EU-style flexibility. The National Caravan Council's lobbying for the same 4.25 tonne allowance for leisure vehicles, and the UK government is expected to follow the EU changes soon. However, that hasn't been confirmed, it's just what's likely to happen. So the situation could change in the future. More weight means more gear, but check your axle limits. Speed limits over 3.5 tonne often means lower speed limits on some roads. Tolls and ferries, heavier vehicles can cost more. Standard breakdown cover usually stops at 3.5 tonnes. For bigger vans, you need specialist motorhome cover, and if you're heading to Europe, make sure your policy includes repatriation. Final thoughts on weight. 3.5 tonnes keeps things simple, cheaper tolls, easier insurance and standard breakdown cover. 4.25 tonnes gives you more space, more payload, but comes with extra cost and checks. So weigh up what matters to you most for your adventure. For us, we originally ordered a 3.5 tonne van, but then a few months ago had a little bit of a thought that wanted something a little bit bigger, so actually changed and ordered a 4.25 tonne van. So when we were thinking about buying a camper van, the decision is, do you go brand new or do you pick up a used one? Let's have a look at the pros and cons of each. Firstly, buying new. You get the latest features, the latest tech. Secondly, warranty, peace of mind, as there's no hidden history, or there shouldn't be. from a customization perspective, you can choose your own spec, the colours, the extras. And if you do need finance, it can be easier to get sometimes and at a better rate on newer vehicles. Not always the case, but sometimes. But there are downsides of buying new. Firstly, the cost. New vans can be eye-wateringly expensive. Can't believe how expensive they've got, can you? Depreciation. In the first few years, they typically lose quite a lot of value. And lead times, especially if you want quirky options, then that can take quite a lot of time, as we've found out. In terms of buying used, typically you will get a lower price. You can save thousands compared to new. You get slow depreciation, as you've lost a lot of that when it was originally new. Obviously things typically generally still depreciate. And if it's a used vehicle, it should be there and should be able to be driven away today or certainly very soon after. And also people have added extras on, so you can benefit from that, and they tend not to attract as much of a premium. On the flip side, you've got wear and tear. You might inherit problems or hidden damage, as we don't know the history of a second-hand vehicle. Limited warranty, either remaining of manufacturer's warranty or a third-party warranty. And also, it's a less up-to-date vehicle typically, so it may have less safety features or tech. First, you need to think about budget. Can you afford the upfront cost? And secondly, do you want to be able to control all of the different options? New or used, the right campervan is the one which fits your lifestyle and budget. Which one would you choose? Let us know in the comments. The decision we've made, and when I say we, it was predominantly down to me, is I wanted to choose the specific options for the base vehicle. I also wanted something with a manufacturer's warranty and something that hopefully will see us through the next 5 to 10 years. So that's why we decided to go new. The price was eye-wateringly expensive, but it allows you to get the options you want, and you've got that brand new vehicle from scratch. Time will tell whether that was a good decision. Before we come on to the shortlist, there was also some other points to take into account. Firstly, the reliability of the base vehicles. And what was interesting from previous videos is pretty much any van you flag up, somebody's had problems with them, irrespective of the make, the model. There's been problems. There's also some fantastic stories as well of really, really reliable vans. The second thing that I noticed when looking at the different van types is the massive difference in cost. And I couldn't believe for pretty much what you end up with a very similar vehicle, how different the costs can be. That really surprised me. The third thing was, for the same van with the same spec, how much the price varies around dealers. And a top tip, make sure you get at least 3 quotes. I decided not to buy locally in the northeast and buy a little bit further afield because I got a much better deal and a better price. There are downsides there. Obviously it's further away if there's a problem, but hopefully most things can be dealt with by the local dealer network in the northeast. It's only if there was a problem where I needed to go back to the supplying dealer that would be an issue. But it is a consideration, and it's especially a consideration if you are buying a second-hand vehicle, just to make sure if you're buying it from a distance whether you can get your repairs and things done under the warranty, if it comes with a warranty, at a local garage rather than having to travel a long way. One other consideration, it's quite specific. In order to park on the driveway, I need to actually reverse in kind of an S shape. There's only so much room there, so the actual length of the vehicle and the wheelbase was very important. Van turning circles I don't think are ever amazing, but I was really keen not to reduce or not change much and make worse that turning circle, just so it doesn't create additional challenges of getting turned round or getting out of tight spaces. Anyway, let's get on to the shortlist. So Mercedes Sprinter, it was my original favourite, but to fit my layout I'd need a super long wheelbase. That means a huge turning circle and a price tag about 20 to 25,000 higher than some rivals. An absolutely beautiful van though. The next vans I looked at was the VW Crafter and the MAN TGE, both beautiful vans, and I actually narrowed down on those two to the MAN TGE, which kind of just picked the post slightly as my favourite van. And I got quotes online, I got the information. There was a heck of a lot of options you could choose from, which is great. But there was also lots of things changing through the model year. I tried to get quotes from dealers and I really struggled. What was really frustrating is just people not getting back in touch when you reached out, which concerned me, because if people aren't responding to pre-sales, what hope have you got if you have a problem with the vehicle later? Lovely van, but it just didn't feel as if it was right. Might have just been unfortunate, might have just caught people at the wrong time. I had to work on what I'd got online and the price was just too expensive in comparison. At the end of the day, for me, value for money is really important. Then I had a look at the Ford Transit. Really nice van. The driving position just didn't feel quite right for me. I tried a few of them, always in converted formats, never the empty van, but I prefer the higher up driving position of some of the other vehicles. Nice van, looks really good tech spec, but it just didn't quite feel right for me. And finally, Stellantis. So that's the Peugeot Boxer, the Citroën Relay and the Fiat Ducato. So I took a closer look at these. What's interesting is how much technology's evolved on these since this vehicle. This is a Series 7 Ducato and we're now on Series 10. I focused in on the particular options that I was interested in. So what did we end up going for? It really surprised me. After weighing up cost, wheelbase, driving position and overall value, the one for me is the Fiat Ducato L4 H2 diesel 4.25 tonne automatic. It's got the shortest wheelbase in all of the vans we looked at for the size, and it was the cheapest one with all the options on that I wanted. This is the start of an exciting build series, so subscribe and follow along as we turn this into our ultimate camper van, and join us next time where we go and pick the van up.
Let us know in the comments what decisions you used when you were making the choice for your van.
Were the decisions the same, or did you make different decisions? Let us know why, and let us know what your thinking is if you're considering doing your own van as well. Also, if you're thinking of buying a ready-made one. Because now we start, now we're going through the process, and now we are going to begin building our dream camper van. Thank you for watching.
Hope you've enjoyed it.
And we will catch you for the next bit. Bye.